Hello and welcome to the ABW Radio Show after the fun fest that was Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. Unfortunately, I'm not Chris, thankfully, I would say, but he's unfortunately got work today, so he's away and I'll be taking the reins. I'm joined with three lovely people. First of all, it's the man whose beard knows no bounds. It's Mr. John Welsh. How are you?
Tom, you alright?
Yes, not bad. Under pressure hosting in Chris's absence, but sure
I'll
we'll
have
get
to do the buttons. All the adults have left. They've left the children in church.
Oh, okay. So who else have we got? We've got the man that London loves to have. It's Karl. How are you doing?
I'm good, Tom. How are you?
Yes, not bad, man, not bad. And finally, the man who knows which type of football is the best to watch in his homeland. It's Rob Parrott.
Hello, hello.
Hello. All right, so better get straight into it. Not keep people waiting. So I'll start with the lineup. Rob, if we go in reverse order, just tell me what you thought of the lineup. There was a bit of changes from the last match, obviously a bit of rotation, seeing as Christmas period. Were you happy with it? Thoughts?
Not really. I really wanted to see Chambers get another chance in holding midfield today as opposed to Flamini. I really thought that we could have used his physical presence and size in the midfield a little bit because they were always going to be about kicking us around today. I know a lot of people were upset that the Ox got the start over Joel today, but I wasn't too upset to start with after the game. You know, I was ready to be done with Ox after about 30 minutes today, but initially I didn't have much of a problem with it because I honestly thought we were going to have the lion's share of the possession and batter Newcastle today, and that just really didn't happen.
Yeah, no, yeah, I completely agree there. Karl, any other extra thoughts?
No, not really. I looked at the team and I was a bit surprised that Chamberlain made it in front of Campbell because I thought Campbell's been playing well, but really because of our injuries, that's kind of all we could play, to be honest. But yeah, the team, it was what it was, and we did reasonably well, I guess.
Yeah. So, first 5 minutes, John, we looked pretty good. I mean, we've been calling out for a fast start, and we did get that in the first 5 minutes, and then it sort of stopped. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it was a really good start. Like Bellerin was playing really well at the start of the game, and we'd give him a little bit of stick last few games because he hadn't been quite up to his best. But he was flying down the right-hand side, and I actually thought Oxlade-Chamberlain started okay. Walcott and Monreal on the left didn't seem to quite work out so much at the start. And I thought, yeah, it looked to me like he was going to be a comfortable sort of get 3-4 goals, you know, maybe get to 2 or 3-0 by half time and then just cruise through the rest of the game, kind of like the Man United game. That didn't happen, obviously. You know, Newcastle came back into it, and I think we just, I don't know, I don't think it was nerves or anything like that. It just, the team was tired and they just weren't pressuring Newcastle enough. And I think you have to give Newcastle a bit of credit as well because they pushed at the right times, and I thought the forward players like Mitrovic and Sissoko especially gave our defence a really torrid time today.
Yeah, I certainly felt the midfield was tested a lot more, and there wasn't so much the freedom that we normally have. Karl, there was a lot of space in the middle. Newcastle kept probing at us. Cole back and Tiote had a lot of joy in the middle today. That Ramsey and Flamini combination, is it faltering slightly?
Today it didn't work. It didn't work in the slightest today, and I'm not too sure why. I don't go for the tired thing because I don't think they had enough rest, I personally think, but I guess they're not on the level that I guess Santi and Coquelin are. You know, they haven't got that sort of telepathic understanding, to say the least. For me, it's always the wrong way around because it seems like Flamini's bombing forward and Ramsey's sitting where it should be the other way around. When Ramsey plays on the right, even though I'm not a fan of when he plays on the right, he seems to play better than when he plays in the middle.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we've certainly lost, and a player that is actually affected in my eyes is Hector Bellerin. Hector Bellerin and Ramsey had a great combination at the end of last season on that right-hand side for me. And Rob, we're talking about Hector. He has been a bit of a shadow of himself recently. I mean, he's putting crosses in the box, but they're not exactly of the best quality. And compared to what he was doing last season at the end, and at the start of this season especially, he's just not that player as he was. Is it down to inexperience because he's still a young guy, or is it more just a blip and that's what it's going to be?
I think it's more of a blip. I think he's had a lot of inconsistencies in front of him. To start the season, he knew, him and Ramsey had a partnership on that right-hand side, so he really felt sure when to go, when to stay back, when to overlap, when to be more aggressive, all that sort of stuff. And now that he's switching partners, not just game to game, but in the game, they're switching sides constantly because we're struggling to score. And, being on offense is all about confidence. And I don't think he's confident where he's supposed to be or what he's supposed to be doing all the time. And that makes it really, really difficult to create high-quality scoring chances. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, so sure. So just before we move on to the game, we've got in the chat box, having a look around, we've got some people I haven't seen. Webspore, haven't heard of you before. Medi, yeah, normal regular, and someone called Rob Parrott, don't know who that is. Ashley Morris, all wishing you Happy New Year, of course. Nice to see you on there and supporting us again. So, John, rest of the first half, we did allow Newcastle back into it, and they did have a couple of chances. There's one especially that Czech parried away and Mitrovic nearly led in Cole back. I mean, it just didn't seem like they were in it and with it, and the mindset wasn't really there. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it partly down to the midfield. There'd been criticism before of Ramsey pushing forwards a little bit too much when he's played next to Flamini. And I think today you saw in the first half definitely the other side of his game where if he gets told to sit back so much, he doesn't press high enough up the pitch. Flamini was sitting deep, which is fine. I don't think anyone has a problem with that, but you need to put pressure on the ball, and Newcastle players were just giving too much time. I thought down our left-hand side, Monreal had no help at all against Sissoko. He was getting really pinned back. Walcott really wasn't helping him out. Jan Matt was getting down that side. He's probably one of Newcastle's better players. And Mitrovic today, although he missed a lot of chances, he really put up a decent performance against Koscielny. Despite Koscielny getting the goal, obviously, I thought Koscielny had a really poor game because he really struggled today against Mitrovic. He was holding the ball up well and laying it off well. And I'm just glad that Newcastle just couldn't finish because they had so many chances. But Czech, yet again, came to the rescue. He's been amazing for us this season. I think it really highlights that what John Terry said was true about the 12 to 15 points. Because if someone went back through just this half of the season, it's probably at least 9 points he saved us already.
Yeah, definitely. There's the leadership he gives the back four, and they just feel a lot more comfortable. I mean, if you saw that back four in the previous seasons with Szczesny behind them, it's just so much more insecurity in the mindset. So Czech being there is certainly one. So 6 minutes on the first half. It's hard to talk more about it because really most of the action happened in the second half. So if we move in at half time, we'll talk about Rob. If we just come to you about half time, what were your thoughts moving into the second half, sitting there at half time thinking we're 0-0, we haven't been the better team, we certainly don't even deserve to be drawing at this point. What were your thoughts thinking how the team were going to come out and perform in that second half?
Yeah, to start the second half, I wasn't worried because, we're normally a much better second half team than we are a first half team, and let's be honest, it couldn't really get much lower than what it was in the first half, but I quickly, sort of after about 10 minutes of watching us sort of loaf about and not really look like we were up to it, really started to get worried. Anyone who follows me on Twitter knew that at about the 70th minute or so, I was losing faith quite a bit today. I didn't think the guys had it in them. I actually thought they did look a little lethargic and tired today. I know that Karl had said that he doesn't think that that's an excuse, and it's not really. But I did think they looked leggy today, and it's just the same players playing over and over and over. Makes it really, really difficult. And Newcastle were physical, they're fast, they're going to get up and in your space and make it really difficult. But to start the second half, started confident, but really that eroded pretty quickly. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, Karl, as soon as we came out in that second half, I was certainly expecting a bit of a response, but we were back under pressure again, and certainly Mitrovic had a chance, and then Wijnaldum with the chance he had, which you have to talk about Czech there, but we seem to be letting them in even more, and there seemed to be even more space at the start of that second half. What was the problem?
I know. Whatever Wenger said at half-time didn't work because you expected a reaction at half-time, expected him to come out, galvanise, really press the ball, get the ball into the Newcastle area, and it just didn't happen. And I'm not sure why. Maybe they were tired. If you play the same players over and over again, of course they're going to get tired. But whatever happened at halftime didn't work. And yeah, like you said, Newcastle came at us, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, we're playing at home, we should be pressing them, and it just didn't happen.
No, it certainly didn't. I mean, John, if you just talk about the Wijnaldum chance in particular, would you put that more down to Wijnaldum not choosing the right option in the shot, or more the save?
I don't think there's much more that Czech can do. Maybe a better finisher, more confident player might have got the goal. But Czech did everything. He did everything right. He came out, stood up tall, went down as late as he possibly could, and made his body as wide as he possibly could. If it's Lionel Messi or someone like of that ability, they might score the goal there, might dink it over Czech or try and roll it underneath him. But Czech's done everything absolutely perfect, come out as quick as he can and made the angle as tight as possible. So I don't think you can say, it was a bad miss or anything like that. I think you saw there was times that even Czech was starting to get worried about the amount of chances that they were giving up and the amount of shots that they were getting, because there was a few times where he was taking goal kicks where he was asking the players to drop back a bit deeper because there was too much space. There seemed to be a gap between the front sort of four to the midfield. There was a gap, and then again to the midfield to the defence. There was too many spaces in between. You could see Czech trying to pull players back, but I just thought that was excellent goalkeeping.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I think Czech is as good as I've ever seen at coming out and cutting those angles off in one-on-one situations. I think that really shows what a class goalkeeper he is. How many times this season has he done that, where someone's been through, we play that high line, and he just completely throws their timing off by getting low, making himself big, and forcing them. It was remarkable. I thought 100% sure that was going in.
Yeah, no, and if that point where in the 60th minute we sort of stepped up a bit, and you certainly saw a lot more of the passing play, a lot more of the counter-attacking, but just before we go on to that, I wanted to highlight the fact that I feel sometimes at the back, and certainly in terms of our fullbacks, the right passes don't always get played. They often get either passed back to Czech or they get passed to Metazak or Koscielny, depending who it was. And there's not the real drive and incisive force where you go into your wingers rather than playing it inside. I mean, Karl, if I come to you quickly about it, especially Monreal, I do find sometimes he passes backwards possibly more than he should be doing and should be driving the pass forwards. Is it just me, or do you see anything in that?
No, I feel that's happened even since what's the right back that's gone to Man City? I've got his name now.
Sanya.
He used to
How quickly you forget about him.
He used to put a lot of good crosses into the box, which the way that our forwards are playing now, you would think they get onto the end of them. But Bellerin doesn't really do that. He doesn't drive to the line and get that cross in. He will drive to the line, then cut back, which, if you're really attacking, he should be putting the balls into the box. I don't know if his crossing is not as good as the previous right backs, but it just doesn't seem like the urgency is there to put the ball into the box. Arsenal always had a problem with having players in the box, and that used to always annoy me. But now we're doing that. We're getting forward more, but it just doesn't seem to happen. You're right when you say it always cuts back, and that's annoying.
Yeah, I do agree. I think we make good points about it. So, John, if we do move on to the point where we did sort of step up, talking about the more 60 to 70th minute just before the goal, we seem to be more alive at that point. We seem to realise that this is getting a bit dodgy, and we had a couple of corners, and in particular, Mesut Ozil was taking a lot of those corners, and being quite incisive in the play during that period. If I just pass it over to you just to talk about Ozil and a bit of an Ozil watch, certainly with the amount of publicity and the media coverage he's been getting over the last few weeks, did he live up to that today, and was it more of a laid back performance, or was it just him going about his work in his own special way?
I don't think he was as good today as he has been this season. He was still very good in the game, don't get me wrong, but for his high standards, it was certainly a little bit below that. He still played some amazing passes and some balls that I would never have seen. And even when you're watching from the nice wide angle, you can see all the players running. You know how you can wrap his foot around the ball and get the sort of the angles on the passes is still amazing. You can see sometimes though in games like that where he might disappear a little bit for sort of 10-minute spells where he gets that frustration because the other players aren't at his level. I think you always see the best of Mesut when we are going forwards, and there wasn't a lot of that in the game today because we gave up a lot of the ball so much. So it's not his type of game to perform in. But when he's got the chances on the ball and a little bit of space or time, and he can find those pockets, then you really do get the best from him. And there was bits towards the end where it would have been nice if we just run the ball into the corner flag, but some of the interplay and the little tricks and turns that him and Ramsey were doing together, probably completely the wrong thing to do when we're really struggling and we're only 1-0 up, and there's 10 minutes to go, but it's still a beautiful thing to watch, and some of the little nutmegs for passes and things like that, they were great. So I think it was more the players around him not performing to the level that he would hope or expect,
Yeah, certainly. Something which I know that you love, and that happened in the 68th minute, and Oxlade-Chamberlain came off for our world-class Costa Rican to come on and play on the wing. Before I let you have a go at Campbell, I just want to ask Rob about Oxlade-Chamberlain coming off. He didn't have the best of games in my eyes, personally. A lot of stray passes, a lot of lost the ball quite often. The point where he lost it to Jose Perez and then hacked him down afterwards certainly showed the frustration that he had. And there was an amazing stat in the game that our personal friend Tony Gale, I think, came up with about how he hasn't scored or got an assist in the entirety of 2015. Now, he is only 22, I believe it is. Is now getting to the point where he needs to be performing regularly at this level at that age. He's no longer a youth product. He is now a first-team player. Is it worrying for you?
Yeah, I'm really worried about Ox. I think this is my third time on the radio show, and every time we've had this conversation about should we be worried about the Ox. And to hear them say that he hadn't scored or assisted in the Premier League in an entire calendar year is really concerning. And I know he's had some injuries, but he right now has every opportunity to really stake a claim on the right for himself, and he's just not doing it. And for Joel Campbell to have passed him on the depth chart, that's really concerning for me because Arsene did not want that to happen. This is happening out of necessity. Kudos to Joel for sort of passing him, but I'm really, really concerned about Ox because now when he does play, he tries to make up for a year's worth of underperforming in half-hour stretches, and he just gets it wrong every single time. I'm really quite concerned about him, actually.
Karl, I was trying to get your thoughts on it as well.
I think Ox is lucky that Arsene Wenger's our manager, and Arsene Wenger has a lot of faith in players, because if Arsene Wenger was any other manager, Ox would have been off at half-time, because the amount of fouls that he committed, he gets giving away the ball, he just didn't do anything in the first half. It's getting to the point now where you have to think, is it worth having him on our books and giving him to someone else, or getting someone else in to do the job that he does? I mean, when I heard that stat about no assists and no goals in 2015, I was genuinely shocked. And you don't expect anyone in an Arsenal midfield to be that bad. That every single one of our midfielders should be performing. I mean, Jack Wilshere, he hasn't played for bloody half the season, and he's got more goals and assists than him. And I think I am worried about Ox, really worried, and I think maybe if he doesn't perform this season, then maybe Wenger should be looking to offload him. I mean, he's an England international. He should be playing much better.
Yeah, okay, I'll throw probably a hard question at you. Would you sell him if, say, someone came in for him? I can't see any of the likes competing with us. Maybe the top team, maybe being Liverpool, you could see a team like that coming in for him. But first of all, how much would you say he'd be worth selling for? And would you, first of all?
I can see Man City coming in for him, because Man City struggle with English players. They need English players in their squad. So I can see someone in the case of like Man City coming in for him. Would I sell him? I wouldn't sell him unless I had a ready-made replacement. personally.
Right.
And
So Joel Campbell, yeah.
well, the way he's playing now, then you never know, maybe. But I wouldn't sell him for less than 25 mil. The reason I say him for 25 mil is because he's English, and that's when you've got an English talent, you got to add 10 million on all the time. So I would say about 25 mil.
Fair play, fair play. Okay, John, the time has come. It's time to talk about
Joel Campbell.
Right, go on. Thoughts? How did you feel he did when he came on?
I actually thought he was okay. He came on, had a lot of energy, tracked back, tried to make things happen, took players on, took the ball with him, and he played really well. I said it before, he's not my favourite player. I don't think he should be at the club. I thought we should have gone out and got someone better, but he's there, and whilst he's there, if he performs, then fair play. And like the guy said, he's playing better than Oxlade-Chamberlain at the moment. I thought it was fair to give Ox the chance today because I didn't think he was too bad in the last game. But he didn't, he just didn't do anything today, and it is worrying because I know he had the injury and he's come back from that, and there's a question of maybe he needs a bit more time, but it's how many chances do you keep giving him? And the other thing is he is very young as well, and he had a lot of injuries very early in his career. I think people forget that when he first came to us, he was 17, and he was sort of thrown into the team, and everyone was really excited about him, and he was performing really well, but then just, he after that he's just sort of gone off a cliff really. I think, mate, I think Danny made the point about maybe a loan would have been a good thing for him now, but I think he's beyond that point.
Yeah, he is.
So it's how much game time he can get, because he needs games to get into form. But the run we're on and pushing for the league, can you afford to put him in the team?
Exactly.
So.
And with Alexis coming back as well.
Yeah, Alexis is coming back. You've got Jack coming back hopefully in February as well. He's going to be pushing for those positions. If Coquelin comes back earlier than expected, then Ramsey might get pushed back out wide again. It's more competition for him. Maybe if he gets more of a run centrally. But like Karl said, he was making bad decisions today. He was doing poor tackles and giving away the ball in poor areas. But Joel Campbell, came on and did what he could do. There wasn't a lot for him to do in the game, but he did it well. Hopefully he does that for the rest of the season. I don't see him going in January now. I think at the start of the season I said I thought he'd probably leave in January, but I don't see that now. And maybe if he performs well enough, he might get a move to a bigger club in the summer. Than what he was probably the level he was probably looking at before that. But I still think we could get a better player there.
Yeah, I'll take your point. I think if I'm going to defend you, I think a lot of people think that you just think he's bad. I don't think that's not what you.
I don't think he's bad.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah,
I just think we could have a better player. That's all.
Exactly. Talking about Ox, actually, Sparks, I think the only times I really remember Oxlade-Chamberlain performing at his best, I've got 3 examples. The first one is the game against Crystal Palace, where he scored both goals. The other one is when we beat AC Milan 3-0. I remember that when we were 4-0 down on aggregate, and he came back and won 3-0, and we went all out and attacked. He had an absolutely fantastic game in that game.
Was that also the game where Van Persie moaned at Wenger for taking him off? That wasn't the one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. Van Persie missed a sitter against Abdiati. Just to throw that in. And then finally the one where we won 7-1, I think it was, against Blackburn, and Ox got 2 goals. And it's just, he has got it in him. He just needs to express it more and needs to have the more confidence in him. He's certainly a confidence player from the looks of things. So, Rob, if we get back to the game and move on to the actual goal itself, another corner from Mesut Ozil comes in, and Giroud gets the touch, and Koscielny flicks in. I mean, what your thoughts? Is quite scrappy, or was it well worked?
No, I didn't think it was that well worked at all. I just thought it was scrappy, but I don't care. Karl, certainly he has a knack for coming up with the big goals, and he loves scoring against Newcastle. So I'd actually thought before that it may take a set piece to win today, and I tweeted out that maybe Per would get a header or something to that effect, because I just didn't see us scoring from open play today. I really didn't. And he popped up perfectly, and he has such deft touch. He's so technically good that if he gets a ball in the box, like we saw against Newcastle a few times, against Hull in the FA Cup final, he can put it away because he doesn't panic on the ball. You'd see a lot of defenders there sky it over or just bang it off the goalie's face or whatever. But he calmly sort of put it away in a really hectic situation. So hats off to him. It was huge.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, Karl, did you even see the goal coming? I certainly thought it was out of the blue, and we were against the runner play at the time, and it just shows how important these just scrappy 1-0 goals can be when you're in a title race, doesn't it?
It does, and I think Glenn Hoddle said it best, where if we go on to win the title, it's games like that we'll go on to remember. Our backs were against the wall. I didn't see us winning that game. I honestly thought it would be a lucky Newcastle win or we would draw 0-0. And the fact that we went on to win the game, it shows that maybe we have got the mental strength and the bottle to go on and win the title. It takes games like this to really sit down and reflect and think, well, our backs were against the wall, we didn't play well, we still won. We can go on and push on and go for the title, which I think if we don't win it this year, it will be very hard for us to win it in future. So, yeah, I think Glenn Hoddle was right, and I never want to say that again. But
I was going to say something like that.
That's the game that we will remember if we go on and clinch the title.
Yeah, certainly. Especially when you saw games when we'd drawn against Norwich and lost against West Brom, it certainly seems a bit of a cornerstone, a turning point, should I say, in the season. But John, I wanna bring up that we didn't actually defend straight away afterwards either. You think we got the 1-0 lead? Let's just hold this, and Mitrovic gets straight in and has a chance and puts it over the bar. I mean, were you a bit worried at that point?
Yeah, it's very Arsenal. It sort of makes you think of Anderlecht and all those other games, doesn't it? It's one of those situations where if you have Santi Cazorla or even a Mikel Arteta come on the pitch, you can calm things down, and you just want to sort of keep the ball and just slow the pace down. Even like obviously having someone like Coquelin just breaking up the play, just make it a bit more noodly and start, that kind of thing, stop any tempo. We just needed to sit a bit deeper and just keep the ball and then spring on the counter when we could. But there was, again, credit to Newcastle. They pushed us all the way in that game, and they had a really good game plan. And luckily for us, it didn't come off. Saying Steve McLaren in a game plan is quite a weird sentence. It's worrying in the fact that we got a bit lucky today, and you need that when you win league titles. You do need that bit of luck, and in those sort of games, that's where you get them. But it's not the sort of thing you want to see keep happening as the season goes on. But you saw that Wenger was doing the right thing. He was like, no, they're pushing too far forward. Bringing on Gibbs and Chambers, taking off Giroud. That kind of he was making the right decisions for the team and trying to signal them as best he can. Look, just fucking keep the ball and stop being idiots. Stop running up the pitch. It's great seeing Bellerin go belting 80 yards like Usain Bolt, but please stop doing it in the 89th minute when we're only 1-0 up and we've been under so much pressure and conceding so many chances. You don't need to see things like that. So maybe Per and Flamini on the pitch need to be a little bit more vocal on pulling players back and trying to curb that attacking sort of enterprise. It's difficult to get out of those sort of players though, because that's the team and that's how we play. That's the best. You get the best out of our players when we are going forwards. Even our defenders, Monreal and Bellerin are so good going forwards, and even Koscielny when he brings the ball out and he goes on those little mazy runs. You don't want to see him do it, but he's brilliant at doing it. So it's difficult to get out of that habit.
Yeah, certainly. And straight after the Mitrovic chance, in fact, a minute later, we pulled off Walcott and brought Gibbs on. Rob, Walcott, there's actually a lot of people talking about in the chat at the moment saying he's quite inconsistent, he's not scoring goals. Since he's come back from injury, and obviously Giroud's been in such good form that he can't get in that striking spot, and due to injury, he's out on that wide right-hand side and sometimes left-hand side as well. Are you, I want to say worried, because he has been very good for us this season, but he seems to be, when he's not up front, there's not the real passion and really wanting to get into the game and do what he has been doing at the early parts of the season. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Theo being on the right, he's never going to be as productive as he is when he's playing through the center. I actually thought today would have been a really good day to give Giroud a rest and let Theo have it go through the middle and play a front three of Theo, Ox, and Joel, and just to sort of catch them on the counter a bit. But I'm not sure if he's pouting or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I actually think Theo's working harder defensively this year than he has in a long time, because I think he sees that if he doesn't do that on the right, he's not going to play, and he's just going to sit in the bench and spell Giroud for 5-10 minutes here and there in random games. But I'm not worried about Theo. This is Theo. I think sometimes Theo can be so good for little stretches that people forget that he can go long stretches of being really inconsistent. He could have scored several goals over this Christmas period and just didn't finish. If we played those games over again, he could have scored easily 3 or 4 goals, and we'd be having a very different conversation today.
Tom, you're on mute.
I'm on mute.
I've silenced Tom.
Last 10 minutes of the game, Karl, which is what I was exactly saying to myself. But we did actually press. It was quite impressive to see us actually up the other end of the pitch rather than sitting back and defending and actually breaking the play up in the middle and sprouting those counter attacks. But Ramsey had a chance. It's the type of chance where Norwich. I remember Norwich a couple of seasons. The season when it was absolutely slamming them in and he won the FA Cup for us. And the goal where he fake shotted one way and fake shot the other way and then smashed it in past Ruddy. It was almost a carbon copy of that situation, but he just put it wide. I mean, he's just not in that same mindset now, is he?
He's lucky we were 1-up, because if that had been 0-0 and he had missed that, I would have hated to see Twitter. They would have slated him, and probably with good cause, to be honest, because he's got to score that. He has to finish that. Whether it's 5-0 in the 90th minute or 0-0, he's got to score that. He's got to put it in, and the fact that he missed it, that's worrying. For me, I think it's really worrying. Like you said, last season, the season before, so he was banging them in, and he would have easily scored that. But he's got to finish that. For me, it's really worrying. He has to, but the fact that he got into that position to get there, it was good. But you have to finish that chance, regardless of what the score was. And genuinely, if that game had finished 0-0 or we had lost, I really would have felt sorry for what would have happened on Twitter for him.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think personally, there's different types of players when you don't have competition behind you. I think some players go off the boil a bit. Some players feel that they've got their place sorted and they don't have to perform as much to keep their place. Ramsey, I think, is the opposite in that I think that he feels a lot of pressure in terms of when there's no one up behind him. He knows if he gets injured or if he's not up to the game, then we've got no one else who can really come in and do the job that he does for us. A lot of people criticise him and say that he's not the player a lot of people think he is. I personally love the guy. I think the engine that he brings to the team is unique, and you don't really see other players like that in the Premiership, and certainly in other players in the title rival teams that have a player like Ramsey. I think we're suffering with him not being on the right-hand side, like Rob spoke about previously. But ultimately...
Oh, I think we've lost Tom.
Has he gone?
Oh, we have lost Tom. Apologies, people. We'll try and get Tom back. I don't know what's happened there. Student union, obviously, haven't paid their electric bill or something.
But going back to the Ramsey thing,
Yeah, sure, Karl.
I genuinely think that what Tom was saying, that he feels pressure. If we lost Ramsey, could we cope and win the same, sort of play the same way, whether he wasn't there or not? I think we can, but at the moment, with all the injuries we have, I think we're down to maybe 2 centre midfielders. I mean, if Ramsey got injured now, who would play in the middle? You'd have to play Ox in the middle, wouldn't you?
Yep.
And on his performance today, would you really want to see him in the middle? Like, you wouldn't. So the pressure that Ramsey may be under, it shouldn't be down to him. He shouldn't be thinking, oh no, I've got to play well because if I don't play, then the rest of the team won't do well. He's got to play his own game. And I remember Wenger saying a little while ago that Ramsey had to learn to do the basic things again. Remember, he was overplaying, and I think he's doing that again. All these little flicks and tricks. Sometimes you just want him to play the simple pass, play the ball early, and he's not really doing that. Like, I'm not trying to Ramsey bash. I'm not, because I think he's an absolutely brilliant player. I do, but I think he needs to go back to the basic. Just do the basic things again.
Yeah, Ramsey's a player I really like, and like Tom was saying about his engine. I agree with you, Karl. We should have either finished that chance or he could have squared it. I think there was Joel Campbell and Hector Bellerin both on the right-hand side there. I think we might have got Tom back. But the fact that he can still get into that position at that time of the game, when sort of 20 seconds earlier he's on the edge of our box defending, is amazing. And there aren't players like that. He is the closest thing of like a British player anyway to say what like a Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard was, in that up and down, will score goals, will defend, will create chances, and let's be honest, his best position really is at number 10, but he's not going to play there whilst Ozil's in the team. So but as long as Ozil's in the team, he's always going to be out of position to some degree. So you're never going to see quite the best out of Ramsey and what you got that season, where he was really flying with all the goals. But he does tend to, when things aren't going great, like you said, he does overcomplicate things. But when he does it simple and he just plays it easy and just moves and makes that movement, then you really get the best out of him. But it's good that we've got that player, because I'd hate to think the position we'd be in if he was injured as well right now, because like you said, it would just basically be Oxlade-Chamberlain, Callum Chambers and Flamini as our choices for centre mid, and I don't think anyone really wants to see that.
How scared were you guys when Ramsey went down there, and I thought he had done his groin, and I said, oh Jesus, we're going to have Chambers and Flamini in midfield in this game. We're going to get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I think Dom said about it, because the amount of running he does, we're always worried he's going to pull a muscle again, because he covers so much ground. But you can't take that out of his game. It's like Sanchez. You can't tell Sanchez to stop running, because you just lose that sort of that passion that he's got in his game. Are you back with us, Tom? Oh no, Tom.
No, he's gone again.
Tom has gone again.
But the thing is, you're saying that we need to rest players. At the moment, there is no one, apart from our defenders, there's no one in like the front six that we can rest.
Right.
Everyone has to play every game. I think it's a dangerous thing to play Walcott and Giroud, because if one of them gets injured, you're looking at one person to play up top. At the fact of the matter is, we just don't have it in our squad. I know we'll probably get onto this later on, but at the present moment, Welbeck, do you think we'll see him again this season? I doubt it.
No, I don't think there's any chance of him this season.
And I guess we'll get onto the transfers again later on. So I don't think we'll buy a forward. You're talking about all the injured players. I really want Wilshere to come back, because I think today was a perfect game for Wilshere. I think he would have taken that game by the balls and just ran with it. He would have driven forward, and that's what
he would have ruined them.
Yeah, we needed a scrappy player who would just get the ball and just run and get into tackles. Like, as much as Wilshere gets injured, he's not scared to go into them tackles, and none of our players really done that today.
Yeah, he's that sort of player who can carry the ball forwards and really drive the team on, and he'll go into a 50-50, get the crowd geared up as well. The crowd were a bit quiet today, and then was sort of moaning and groaning a little bit, which I understand, because if I was there in that weather as well, and it's just after Christmas and New Year, and then you go and watch your team and you see that performance, I'd be disappointed. Tom, are you alive? Are you working?
I am back. Technical
Typically
difficulties. Chris is going to murder me for that, but that's fine. Are we on listener questions?
We're not yet. We can go on to. We just finished our little bit on Ramsey. We took over from you.
That's absolutely fine. Did you speak about Giroud? Yes, and the assist.
No, we haven't spoken about.
No,
Giroud, actually.
That's what I was going to talk about. So John,
you go on to Giroud, and then I'll do some
okay.
stuff.
So John, I was going to say to you, Chambers came on for Giroud, and I felt Giroud hasn't scored in the last two matches, but he has got 2 assists in 2 matches. Is he doing a different job now when he's not scoring, and does it show that when he doesn't score, he is still adding to what the team brings?
Yeah, today he wasn't. I don't think he was amazing by any stretch, but he had basically 3 players on him most of the game, marking him when the ball was kicked up to him. He didn't get a lot of service, but he won the ball. He was chesting it down. He was trying to bring players into the game. and the deliveries into the box when we had a chance weren't great. But he won the header for the knockdown for Koscielny to get his chance. So he won that battle. So I think he did everything he could today. The sort of game today is the kind of thing where it's better to have Giroud up top than say Walcott, because if you haven't got the ball and you're going to have to fight for it, he's the sort of player you want in the game. I do think he'll need a rest, and maybe he'll get that in the FA Cup coming up. Because it is FA Cup next game, isn't it? Not league.
Yep.
So maybe he'll get a bit of a rest in that.
Really? Top. So who would you play? Who plays up front then?
I think I'd probably run Theo out up front for that game. Give him a game up front. The problem is that we've got so few players that you might have to chuck in like an Iwobi as a wide player for that game, possibly. I know people will go, oh, it's the FA Cup, we got to go for it, but I don't want to go out of any competition. But if we were to go out, it's not going to bother me. The league's the thing I want. It's what we've got the best chance of, I think, anyway. So I think you need a bit more rotation there if we can get it. I don't know who else is coming back off loan or anything like that, whether we get any more players back. But yeah, I think maybe give Giroud a rest. Alexis might be back for the FA Cup, maybe.
Wenger said there was a chance he could be back, but I think it'd be highly doubtful he'd start him.
Yeah, so maybe you could start Iwobi and bring Alexis on or something like that, so you could give Giroud a rest, or just put Giroud on the bench. If he's on the bench and he doesn't have to come on, then at least he sat the game out. But I think he just needs that. He needs a little bit of time off just to recharge, and then he'll be back to his best. And also, you can't. I don't think you can blame him too much. How many clear chances did he get today, really? I mean, he had that sort of flying near post header, and then the one ball that Ramsey laid in for him that he tried to sort of half pass and half shoot across the edge of the box, and that's really it. So everything else he did, I think, was fine.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So if we just move on to the last section of our radio, so if you guys want to throw some questions, which I can see you're already doing, and John will be ever so kind, and because it's his favourite job in the world, we'll happily copy and paste them into our chat for us. If I just start with Redford Oakley, because it's the first question I've just seen, why do we refuse to press bottom half teams with a centre-back like Colaccini? It would have worked. Rob, thoughts?
That's a really good question, because we really don't do that, and I hadn't really thought about that until just now. We really do only tend to really press the better teams. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's because we want to invite them onto us. Oh, sorry, I muted myself there. We want to invite them onto us to open them up to sort of counterattack them. I think we were trying to do that with Newcastle a bit today, to sort of draw them out and let them think that they can play a little bit, because I think our best chance of scoring today was on the counter. But yeah, I also think it's purely to do with physical fatigue as well. I think the guys were just really quite tired today, and didn't look up for pressing at all.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. So, Karl, I'll ask you a question from Brendan O'Donoghue, who is... I'm going to get this out here now because this question comes up every single week about players coming back on loan. I'm going to reword it slightly. Brendan says get Gnabry back. And I'm going to reword that. So, first of all, players can't come back from loan unless it's written into their contract. If it's a season-long loan, they can't come back. People need to get that into their head now, because it comes
unless
up every single week.
Club that he's loaned at send them back. Yeah.
Yes. Karl, thoughts on Gnabry? Because this does come up quite a lot, and is he got a place? You see how Ox is struggling. Could he get into this side?
You have to think about, if he can't get into the West Brom squad, why should he get into the Arsenal squad? And maybe Tony Pulis doesn't see what Wenger sees in him, but that is worrying. You've got to think, if he can't get into a struggling squad like West Brom, how can he come into an Arsenal squad? It's just like same as Jenkinson. Jenkinson at the moment can't get into the West Ham squad. West Ham are playing a centre-back at right-back over him. So people are talking about Jenkinson coming back into our squad next season. For me, if you can't get into a squad like that, you can't expect to get into an Arsenal squad. I guess you need games. Everyone needs games. And hopefully, if he does come back, he'll hit the ground running. But again, he's another player that I'm worried about.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Rob, I'm going to come back to you quickly. Do you think our players whine too much? And that's from Jonathan Madnick.
Yes, absolutely. I thought today they completely got out of their game and spent too much time focusing on refereeing decisions and moaning that things weren't going their way. And I think that sometimes that can come right from Arson on the sideline. He was pissed today when you saw him on the sidelines. But I know this may be controversial, but Anthony Taylor's had much worse games than he had today. I just thought every little decision, our guys would just go off the deep end and pout and moan, and it would carry over for a minute or two after that passage of play, and it made things much more difficult. Especially against the smaller teams, we tend to moan a lot more. We tend to be really up for it for the bigger teams, and we tend to get along, just sort of get along with the action. Whereas maybe we think sometimes the decisions should all go our way just because we're playing Newcastle. That ain't how it works. So I was pretty frustrated with how the guys sort of responded to adversity today. It's a really good thing that we won, because otherwise I would have laid a big piece of the blame pie on that very thing right there today.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Do you sorry, question? Do you think it's the fact that we have a lack of English players in our squad? It's always this continental mentality where you got to moan about everything. Do you think if we had an English core, then that wouldn't happen so much?
I think that we don't really have one of those typical Sunday League English players. Like you look at the likes of John Terry, how much I hate him, but we haven't got anyone who will take the game by the scruff of the neck or boss people. But we don't. I think it's more about having a leader on the pitch. I mean, the perfect example for me is Carlos Puyol. Look at the way if any of the Barcelona players used to moan, he'd run up and grab them and say, "Get on with the game, just move on with it." And
Spot on.
But we don't have any players in our team like that. Mertezaka's the closest I can say, because he does marshal that defence sometimes. He does talk to them. Also, Czech does speak to the back four as well. But there's no real leader in that side who comes out and says to people, just move on, get on with it. We haven't got the free kick. Nothing you're going to say to the referee now is going to make any difference whatsoever. Just get your job and play on. Whether that's to do with the English core, as you mentioned, I'm not sure. I think that we've got a great English core at the club, or British core, including the likes of Ramsey. I think players do need to come on a bit, and I think it's a bit of a detriment to the English game how players who are usually in the under-21 bracket can get thrown into the national side main 11 too early, and I think that damages them as players sometimes. Does that sort of answer your question, or any thoughts extra on that?
Okay, I know we'll get onto this, but the next signing we make, or if we make a signing, do you think we should be looking a good player, but also a leader? That should be an attribute that we should sign.
Yeah, I think we should be looking to sign someone like that. However, I don't think we're going to bring in someone like that. If the rumours would be true about this El Neni bloke, I don't know a massive amount about him, but I certainly know that he's not a person who will be shouting at the rest of the team, and he doesn't come across in that way. But we'll certainly have to wait and see if he is that guy. Other players are being linked to. Redford Oakley's put Xhaka in there, and I'm sure that John can wax lyrical about him all day long. But I don't think we're going to bring in someone who is a leader, however much I would like that to be the case. I've saved this question for you, John. Brendan O'Donoghue said, should we be looking at a striker in the January transfer window? And Zaza's been mentioned to be available for a loan.
No, not him, please. He's really bad. He's not really bad. He's okay. He's a decent striker, but no, he's not good enough for us. He's at Juventus and he plays occasionally, and he's horrible. No, don't want him. Sorry.
Would you be looking at strikers at all in the January window?
I don't know. You've got Giroud, you've got Walcott. Dare I say it? Even Joel Campbell could play up front. I don't think we really need one. I do agree with Karl. Joel Campbell probably can't, but I don't think we necessarily need one. I think there's other areas of the team that are much more important, to delve into and to get players and backup for. I've got to ask you this one, Tom, because I'm getting plugged in the chat. Karen Patel, I think. I hope I haven't butchered your names. Apologies. Should Alexis start against Liverpool if he is fit?
Yes, I was going to put this to myself anyway, and also join it with Redford Oakley's question about should we park the bus against them. Firstly, on Alexis, if the rumours are coming out that he could be fit enough to play for Sunderland, I'd rest him for that. And personally, I would throw him straight in ahead of Ox anyway. I would start him over Ox. I'd play Walcott on the right and Alexis on the left. If he is guaranteed to be 100% fit and there isn't any risk of a reoccurrence of his hamstring injury, I think that even though we've weathered the storm of this winter break, I think that we still have lacked what Alexis brings to the team, certainly. Moving on to what Redford Oakley said about should we park the bus against Liverpool, I think that is the worst idea possible. Yeah. Liverpool are so vulnerable against teams that want to attack them. If you saw the West Ham Liverpool game, you'll certainly know about that. And if you want to watch a player who whines too much, look at Moreno, because if he whined too much about the corner flag instant foul that he arguably should have had or whatever, he didn't get back in position, and then West Ham went up the other end and scored. So certainly they're a team that are defensively questionable, and I think that we should be giving them all sorts of problems and attacking them as much as we can, because I think we know that we can attack full well and at the same time have a great defensive capabilities at the back. And for me, I wanted to ask a personal question to Rob about Gabriel. He got kicked out of the squad quite literally for Koscielny today, and Koscielny certainly didn't have the best of games. I'm a big fan of Gabriel. I don't think he should be one coming straight into the squad, but after the performance he had against Bournemouth, would you have started him?
Yeah, I probably would have played him today, if only because I think Per needs a rest. I know he gets a lot of stick from Arsenal fans for being terrible, which he's not. I just think that he plays every single match, and Koscielny got a rest for Gabriel the other day. I thought today would have been a good opportunity to rotate Per and give him a bit of a breather. I think Gabriel's a very good player. I just don't think that right now he's good enough to disrupt the Koscielny-Mertesacker partnership on a consistent basis, but he's perfect for what we can use him for, which is rotation when our guys are tired. And today would have been certainly a match we could have rested Per, I thought.
Yeah, fair enough. Karl, everything rude everything. Avid listener, as I know. He has asked if Debuchy leaves in January, should our under-21 right back be coming in as a replacement? And I think he's purposely not put the name so I can try and pronounce his name. I'm going to go if it was Plegazuelo. I'm hoping I've got that correct. And it could be O'Connor as well, who's come back on loan from Stevenage, I believe it was, or York. I think it was York actually. And do you think that the under-21 right back should be coming in if Debuchy is even allowed to leave?
I don't think Debuchy should be allowed to leave. If he does, I don't know anything about this under-21 right back. I don't know how good he is, but I would say no, for the simple fact that it's inevitable that our right back will get an injury. You know, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And would you want to throw? I know it happened with Bellerin. He got thrown in and he done well, but that was like once in a blue moon that's going to happen. Would you want this right back to come in and think that he's going to do well? Let's say as soon as Debuchy left on February the 1st, which would have happened to Arsenal, Bellerin got an injury and he's out for the season. You know, I don't think Callum Chambers is good enough to play right back. I genuinely don't. He's not fast enough, and I don't think he's athletic enough to play right back. But that's what probably would happen. You get thrown in. If you're looking for Debuchy to leave permanently, then we've got to get a replacement. That's my personal opinion.
No, I'd agree, and you just hope that defence doesn't fall down like something did in Rob's background there. So,
it's my daughter. Sorry about that.
So, a great question came in from Ola Akande. John, I'm going to ask this to you. And he says, in fairness, we had a torrid game, but do we always have to dominate games to walk away with all 3 points? Or sometimes we just have to go out there and win by any means necessary mentally?
Yeah, no, that's true. We don't have to go out and sort of do what we did say to Man United and things like that. And I don't mind a scrappy win. You know, I just think today's game was just... it wasn't a scrappy win for us. It was we won, but it was just a poor performance, and we won and we got lucky. If it's the sort of game where you've got to really fight out and battle, sort of thinking back to games against like Bolton in the past when they had Kevin Davies and things like that, where we'd really have to fight tooth and nail for every single ball, 50-50 second ball, and we'd scrape a 1-0 win, that kind of thing. But we were always in the game. Those performances are fine, and that's good. they're good wins to get because they do show you've got that sort of mental strength in the team. But I think what maybe Ola is talking about in mentality-wise is that perhaps this team hasn't quite got that in their heads that they don't have to win pretty all the times. It's getting better. Because there's been a few games where, against the bigger teams where we haven't had a lot of the ball and we've just sort of hit them on counter and done things like that. So that's an improvement. But yeah, I think sometimes you have to accept that you're not going to go out and just walk all over a team and have, 80% of the ball and create, 10, 20 chances in a game every time you go out and play.
No, I'd completely agree with that. And just before I go on to the last 5-minute section, I'm going to ask you guys, seeing as Chris isn't here and he probably would never ask you guys this question, and it is the January transfer window open now, I'm going to allow you to say one player of your choice you would like to come in who is, and quote, realistic. So, Rob, I'm going to allow you to go first. I'm trying to speak as slowly as possible to give you as much time as possible to think of one. But yeah, go for gold.
I would actually take a player like Musa Sissoko from Newcastle as a squad player, just because I think he's gettable and he can play on either wing, attacking mid, or defensive midfielder. That sort of player, because I don't think a big giant superstar player is available at all.
Fair play, Karl?
I would probably go for. I'd go for Gaia from Valencia. I do. I love the guy. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Valencia not doing too well at the moment, and although we'd be Champions League tied, I think Gibbs has not done well this season. I know he's been a bit part player, and I think Monreal's pushing on, and I think Gibbs probably. If we can get a replacement for Gibbs, he would leave. But I think Gaia from Valencia, I would get him.
Yeah, there is talk, actually, isn't there, of some young left back they've been scouting? Arsenal have been scouting, Man U, a couple of teams are looking at.
Is it Chilwell?
Yes.
Yeah, Chilwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Leicester. I actually went to the one game he played for the first team this season, which was against Hull in the Capital One Cup, and I wasn't impressed at all. So there's my thoughts on that guy. John, if you go for gold on your player, I have an idea in my head, but I'm probably going to be wrong.
Honestly, I don't know. All I'd want is a midfielder, a central midfielder. I don't think we're probably going to get more than one. Do I want Granit Xhaka? I kind of do, but I'm a Gladbach fan as well, so I don't want him to leave. No, he's a good player, but I think the problem is whoever you bring in, if they're from another league, it's going to take them a certain amount of time to adjust. By all accounts, this El Nene, whether the deal was done, and there's some people saying there's a medical and it's all passed and they're just waiting on a work permit. I'm not going to lie, I've probably seen him twice and I don't particularly remember actually watching or concentrating on him. Chris, I don't know if some of the people in the chat saw, if you go back through Chris's timeline, there's some great pictures. Chris downloaded 6 Basel games and I think another one where El Nene didn't play in, and watched all of them back to back and just watched him play, because you know what Chris is like. And he was really impressed with him. So if from the reports that I've read on him and what everyone has said and what Chris has said about him, he sounds like a really promising player. And there's a lot of talk that he's better than Mo Salah, who I've been impressed with in Serie A, but the guy's a dickhead, to be perfectly honest. If you thought Cristiano Ronaldo was arrogant, wow. That guy's got serious short man syndrome. And then apparently El Nene's the complete opposite. So, he's interesting, he's exciting. But yeah, any centre mid really who is available. The only other one probably Biglia from Lazio, who's not having a great time over there, and Lazio are having a pretty poor season in Serie A. I think he's attainable. But we'll see. If we just get one player and it's a centre midfielder, I'll be fairly happy. I think we could probably get more, but we're not. It's not really what we do in January. And as long as we just keep pace with City and Leicester, which is still weird to say, at the top of the league, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, fair play. I'm sort of going off the basis that I think El Nene's coming in, and that's our centre mid. So I'm.
Oh, you're cheating. You get 2.
Redford Oakley took mine, and he said Lucas Perez, which is the person I would have, who's currently at Deportivo, and he's he's playing as a striker, but he can play anywhere across the front three. Certainly think we could do with someone seeing as I don't think you're going to see Welbeck back this season. And he's a 27-year-old who can, I think, can certainly come in and do a really good job. So I'm going to move on to the last section, which is going to be the Canton section, uniquely put in, and just for this radio. And Rob, I'm going to go to you first. What are your hopes for 2016 at Arsenal?
It's got to be the Premier League, right? I mean, it kind of starts and ends right there. I don't think realistically we have any chance of winning the Champions League. An FA Cup run would be nice, but we've sort of been there, done that. It's Premier League or bust. That's going to make my 2016, really.
Fair play. Karl?
My hope is the Champions League. It's not going to happen. This is the realistic hope. It's got to be the Premier League. This is the one season we have to win it. Just because of the TV money that's coming in next season, there's going to be mid-table teams, the likes of the Stokes and the Palace, who are going to spend ridiculous amounts of money. I'm not saying they're going to be title contenders, but any player that we go for, we're going to have to fight for. We have to win the Premier League this season, just because it's been so poor. This is our one chance, not a one chance, because we're always in and about the Premier League every year, but this is a chance we have to go on and absolutely win it. So the Premier League.
John?
Yeah, just like the other guys, win the league. Pray for a miracle against Barcelona. I don't know, like the front three get struck down with Ebola or something horrendous. Even with that, I swear, like Messi with Ebola would probably still walk around most defences. It's ridiculous, that guy. The league's there for the taking. This season, I know everyone's saying, "Oh, it's really exciting because there's so many teams in it," and what. I just think it's just people not playing very well and underperforming. I think it's Leicester are doing very, very well, and they probably trail off, but it's us and City aren't playing great. And whilst Aguero still can't find a leg to walk on properly at the moment, and Yaya Toure only shows up for 10 minutes in games, it's our best chance in years to win it. So, yeah, maybe a double. Maybe get the league and FA Cup double. That'd be nice.
That'd be very nice, very nice. I'd have to.
I'll add one more thing actually.
FA
Cup double, and then Pep Guardiola in the summer.
There you go.
You said the whole of 2016, sir.
I did. No, that's my point. I would agree, and also say that hopefully none of our players go to the Euros. That'd be very nice. Have a nice summer off. So
they have a whole summer off.
They'll all be injured, Tom.
Yes, exactly. They're all going to get injured. So Yeah.
We find a beach and just leave Alexis Sanchez there and don't let him get off the island for like 6 weeks. Give him a proper rest.
Just put him down a Chilean mine. We'll do that. So this is okay. So final thoughts, guys, just before we're going to wrap this up. Thoughts on the match overall, what and how it actually bodes well in terms of our title challenge. Rob, we'll go with you first.
I'll take it. That's all I want to say about that match. We're going to move on to the next one because overall it was ugly, but that's a win that title contenders really need. Just like that prick Tony Gale said during the commentary, that's the sign. That's a match the champions win, and I think we're certainly headed in that direction. So move on to Sunderland.
Cool. Karl?
Like Rob said, we didn't play well, but we won. It doesn't matter how you play as long as you get the 3 points. We take the 3 points, we move on, and hopefully it's 3 points added to our hopefully title run.
Fair play. John?
Yeah, much like the guys, I've forgotten the game already. I can't remember who scored. So yeah, I'm just like, yeah, come on Watford. I'll get on the Troy Deeney and Igalo wagon and cheer him on against Man City.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so last few things to say is all that. Go follow at the Bergie Blogs, at the Bergie Radio, at the AFC Podcast. I'm not an ABWITK, so I don't really know what's going on with the podcast on a Thursday. If there is one, I don't know, John, you know anything about that or not?
I think there should be a pod next week. I can't promise because Gimli has many puppies.
There's so many puppies to play with.
Making lots and lots of noise in his house at the moment. There was a rumour there might be a live one, possibly.
Was that from the Daily Mail? Because I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, I can't promise. But there's possibly a live one, but we should wait and find out. But yeah, if there is one, you'll hear about it in the usual places. Danny will be on Twitter, and the main podcast account will be tweeting out.
All good. Okay, so I'd say thanks for listening. Apologies for my technical difficulties. I wasn't going to drop them in it, but it was my twat of a sister who pulled the Ethernet cable out, so there's that. But yeah, thanks for listening. You've been great in the chat as normal, throwing us questions. Can't be doing this without you. And all I can say is best wishes for 2016, and thanks for listening.